Our next speaker is going to be Firdaus Sharif, VP of Global Marketing, Demand Programs and Engagement, SAP. And they're going to be talking about adapting digital marketing trends. Now, Firdaus Sharif is the Vice President of Global Marketing, brings over 14 years of experience in building new markets. And please warmly welcome her to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, Firdaus Sharif.
Hi, Firdaus. How are you doing? Good to have you back.
Thank you very much.
All yours.
Thank you. Sorry. Okay, so I hope everybody's having a good session. Sorry about that. I've been listening in to a lot of the conversation that's been happening, and I don't think what I'm going to say is going to be considerably different, right? So from my perspective, it's really what are we doing in today's environment to adapt to the digital landscape that faces us? How is that working for a typical marketeer? How is that working for organizations around us? And I just want to take some time to talk through that, and maybe we can have a little bit of a conversation after. I'm not 100% sure how to use this, but I'll try. Okay. So adaptation, right? I think when you're looking at adapting to anything, you're sort of evaluating yourself as humans. What does the word adapt mean? We tend to adapt to changes in our environmental factors in order to survive. So really, when we travel to high altitudes, our body responds or adjusts in ways so that we can still get oxygen. Right? We're constantly responding to physiological factors that affect us, like viruses, bacterial viruses that affect us, air and water pollution, and so on and so forth. And because of this ability that we have as humans to rapidly adapt to our environments, it's possible for us to survive anywhere in the world. So whether we're in, a tropical environment, whether we live in a highly densely populated, highly polluted country, we all survive. And in the same context, there's a genetic evolution that is happening in our digital environments as well. So in terms of our ability to adapt to new digital strategies and platforms, we're faced with today. Consumers engage brands on channels that didn't exist a few years ago, or at least were not relevant from a business perspective. So today we're all doing business on Facebook, on WhatsApp, on Twitter. I mean, they're absolutely normal channels to conduct commercial engagements. Digitization is enabling new and disruptive business models. So I heard somebody speak about that a little while ago. They're aggressively competing with legacy business models, and they're putting pressure on the ways revenues and profitability was managed in the past. So things like Airbnb, Uber, Careem, Fetcher, all of these are prime examples, and logistics giants like FedEx and DHL are actually having to reevaluate their business model because they're now faced in an era of personalized logistics versus the bulk model that they were following in the past. Also, digitally enabled products and services are becoming the norm today, right? So somebody said that they have their social media in their pocket. There's about 55% of global brands that are using digital technology to create new products and services. And they're giving them digital features so that they can create new types of demand. So a good example is Procter & Gamble's Oral-B toothbrush, which has Bluetooth-enabled technology that actually gives guidance to users on where they should brush. It gives you that insight. So it's really changing the morning game, right, from my perspective. Now, what does this all mean to the modern marketeer? There's a need to be extremely agile in managing the varied needs of today's prospects and customers. And marketers need to continue to drive the bottom line while remaining creative. So they really need to manage both sides of the equation. Customers and prospects chart a very non-linear journey. And you need to have, as a marketer, you need to have solid content in all the right watering holes that map against all stages of the buyer's cycle. And so it's not an old-fashioned methodology where we used to create a campaign and say, hey, what is blockchain? And then 6 weeks later you launched another campaign which said, how does blockchain work for you? I could be at the stage where I want to buy blockchain, so I'm not going to wait for the whole year for your calendar of campaigns to get to the point where I can actually get the information I want. So the need of the hour is really always on messaging, and which will drive to these watering holes, which will drive to your digital properties that actually house all of this information. And the days of the one and done, campaign methodology are over in my perspective. Some key trends that are really rocking the boat today. Video marketing. So viral videos are changing the game on how we measure people's ability to keep engaged or to remain interested in something. YouTube has incredible volumes of content that are created every hour. And if you look at their statistics, the most viewed content is at 30 seconds or lower. Saudi Arabia is one of the leading consumers and creators of YouTube content, and there's at least 15 hours worth of content creation and consumption per capita in Saudi. Now that's a staggering number. Social marketing. So low cost, high ROI approach, right? Offers exclusive to social channels, drive more engagement, they reach, and they work really well. So, when you offer something specifically on your social channels to engage users. A consolidated strategy that embeds social into the overall end-to-end digital landscape also works well. So it really depends on, what is relevant for your organization. Examples such as Lookbook. I don't know how many of you have heard of Lookbook, but what it does is it's a tool that puts a wrapper around your content on your own personal channels, so like your company's website. And what that does is it uses artificial intelligence to understand the behavior patterns and the likes and dislikes of people that are viewing that content. And then it starts recommending follow-up content, which it expects the user to like, to create an environment where they can end up binge watching a lot of your content and your information. And what that does is it speeds up the buying cycle. So it helps convert users from the awareness phase into the consideration and the interest phase, because they're able to get all your content in one place. They don't have to go all over your channels looking for it. Another example is Noise to Opportunity, N2O, which is a tool which listens to what people are talking about on social channels and uses this to analyze and predict customer behavior. So it actually goes down to the individual customer, so you can actually, zone down to your individual customer, to the product or solution they're interested in, to the geographical location they're based in. And based on that, it becomes very easy for sales folks to, to actually be 100% targeted in their approach to prospects and customers. Marketing talent. We have a major skew, and I think I heard about this earlier as well. We have a major skew towards digital marketing. So traditional marketers are having to unlearn some of the skills they had in the past, and they're having to learn new digital ones. And they need to do it really fast to keep up with the millennials who are now coming into the market or are already in the working landscape, for whom digital channels are second nature. And we're also looking at the trend where organizations are looking at developing more generalist marketeers who have the skills to run a physical event and they have the skills to run a virtual event, and they do it like the switch on and off of a button, versus the traditional specialists who were typically focused and specialized in one area of marketing. That just doesn't work anymore. And lastly, new forms of messaging that are really changing the game. So, like I mentioned, WhatsApp being used for commercial purposes, chatbots, so somebody mentioned chatbots earlier, chatbots that engage a user early on your website and provide relevant content that will allow the user to get what they want. So, so depending on what the user asks, or depending on any cookies which you have on your site that can, give you guidance on previous behavior for the customer. Chatbots are, actually taking away the risk that having a person on the other end, like a telemarketer on the other end, in the past created for organizations. AR, VR, so, artificial reality, virtual reality on the web. How are we engaging audiences? There's a process of now engaging audiences in a more exciting manner, giving them a virtual reality experience on our website that will really engross them, make it easy for them to stay on and, and to continue their time spent on our properties and do it at a much longer time than average. And which makes it more likely for them to convert faster because, they're getting a lot of content, they're spending a lot of time on your site. Chances are they're able to, find, try, buy faster than they would in a typical, in a typical website environment. And then finally, I think voice recognition really changes the game. So, capabilities on websites and social channels that create a virtual butler service and engage with users personally. So really helping them to get content that they need, that is relevant for them through discussion, as opposed to, typical search functionalities that we used to have in the past. And then reading out the content to them that is relevant to them, relevant for them. So really making it a conversation as opposed to a typical search and then, trying to find content that works for you. So, in closing, I think marketeers, organizations today are truly adapting to this digital environment that faces us. I'm very excited about what it brings and the amazing opportunities ahead. I hope you guys are as well, and please feel free to ask me any questions now or later, or we can engage on conversation later as well. These are my details on Twitter and LinkedIn. Thank you very much. Yes.